What's up, everyone? Justin here, back with a new WT. I was about to curse. I will curse, but believe me, this video is gonna make me curse because of the topic and subject. But anyways, this is a new episode of WTF. What the fuck? Just some insanely stupid, bad booking, bad ideas have happened in the wrestling world, in the business, in pro wrestling. Some really just god awful stuff has happened that you can't even believe it really happened, but it did. That's what this show is about. What the fuck? What the fuck, WTF, the dying days and the stupidity of the AWA. Now, the AWA was good. I didn't grow up on it. I wasn't alive when it still was around in the 80s. I never saw it as a kid. I didn't know where to find it, didn't know where to watch it. I didn't see it on ESPN later when it was on ESPN. That was really sad times when it was on ESPN because they didn't have much talent. They only had the Rockers, the Midnight Rockers. They had, what was their name? Another tag team that was pretty good. I forget their name, but I think DDP was their manager, Paul Diamond and Pat Tanaka. I forget their tag team name. The Diamond, I don't know. Bad Company, maybe, was their name. Their tag name, Bad Company. I'm not sure, but whatever. They were good. Nick Bockwinkel was still good in the AWA when they were on ESPN. Larry Zbyszko was not bad. But they didn't have much talent at all when they were on ESPN. I'm shocked they got a deal on ESPN. So first, I'm going to just talk about, I think it was the AWA holiday shows or Christmas shows. Not all their big shows, but a lot of the big shows. The Super Clashes, like Super Clash, I would want to say Super Clash 2, Super Clash 2 and 4, just god awful camera work. Because it seemed like they had one camera. One fucking camera for a big show set up on the ring. Pointing towards the ring. That was it. And it was far away. I don't believe they had any cameras at ringside. And the AWA did that a fucking lot. Which was stupid as fucking hell. What the fuck were you thinking, Vern Gagne? You had a successful promotion since 1960, I believe. Or whenever they started. Let's see when AWA started. 1960 until 1991. I can't believe they were still around in 91. It was not good what they were doing in 1990 or 91 or 89. 88 wasn't even that good. But at least I think Kurt Hennig was there for a little bit in 88 still. So, Vern Gagne, I'm sure you could afford a couple more fucking cameras for your big shows, like the Christmas shows that you recorded. I don't know if you ever released them. You probably showed the matches on your TV syndication show. But, what the fuck? You couldn't afford more than one camera for your big events or your Christmas show that you wanted to record the matches? You had like one camera pointed on the ring. I've seen it many times. I watch these shows on the WWE network. I think Super Clash 4 and Super Clash 2, bad camera work because you had like one camera. I guarantee you the NWA and WWF in the 80s never had one fucking camera only pointing at the ring. They weren't that stupid. They had cameras outside the ring and camera guys on the ring apron at least. So, that was mind-blowing. That blew my mind. That was what the fuck are you doing, AWA? One camera on the ring. I couldn't get over that when I watched it on the network. Not every show, but a lot of big AWA shows. I think mostly they're Christmas events on like Christmas Day. I think 83, 82, 81, like 85 or 86 had like one camera on the ring. And I'm sorry, that pissed me off when I was watching. I was like, what the fuck, you only got one camera? That's pathetic. But I shouldn't have been shocked, because I'd say after 86, 85, AWA was dying of a slow, painful death. And it was sad. But I don't blame any of the talent that left to jump to Vince and jump and go to New York, go to WWF. I don't blame any of them, because they knew the AWA was fucking dying, and they knew Verne Gagne wasn't going to change. He was an old man in the 80s. I think he was in his 60s or 70s. I don't know. I think he wrestled his final match in like 86, I believe. So here's some just what the fuck moments the AWA did. And they did a ton of them. More than WCW ever did. So, Hogan and Nick Bockwinkel had a pretty damn good feud. Started in 1981. After Verne Gagne retired in 81, he focused the AWA around Nick Bockwinkel because he was a loyal employee for many years. So Nick Bockwinkel would go on to defend the title and have feuds with Rick Martel, who became a champion in the AWA. And what do you know? About a year later, he left. He didn't want to be there. He wanted to go to WWF because he knew AWA was not the place to be. They were dying. They were just Vern. That's kind of weird. Their names both start with V's. Now Vince is old as hell and older than Vern was, I believe. When AWA died, I believe Vern was younger than Vince is now. I think Vince is like 74. I don't know. But I believe Vince still has some of his brain left, some smarts left. I don't know how much, but I don't believe he's totally lost it. I don't. Because if it's not Vince, he still allows, maybe it's Triple H, I don't know. Vince still allows some good shit to happen in his company with pushing talents like the women, Bayley, Sasha, Asuka. He made Drew the world champ. That was a good idea. I'm not here to defend Vince. This is about what the fuck the AWA did. Just what the fuck moment. So Nick Bockwinkel would have good matches with Rick Martel, Wahoo McDaniel, Brad Ragans, and his most famous feud in the AWA was Hulk Hogan. But this was a what the fuck moment. That Vern, you dropped the fucking ball when you did not pull the trigger and make Hogan your world champion. You should have given him a big money contract also to stay. Should have offered him a ton. You should have offered him half of the company to own it. That's what I would have fucking done. To keep that fucking money train of Hulkamania. Vern, you should have offered Hogan everything. A ton of money or half of the AWA ownership with you. Or you could have gave Hogan, I don't know, half of your ownership. I don't know. Or how much Vern owned. He owned it with, started the AWA with Wally, whatever his name was. What was the guy's name? I forget what the hell is his name. Wally Carbo. So Vern and Wally Carbo both were the founders of the AWA. But seriously, Vern should have gave Hulk Hogan the world championship. Instead, he kept screwing the fans and fucking them. Wouldn't let Hogan win the world title. Would not let the fans get what they wanted. The fans wanted it. The fucking arenas were packed before Hogan left for WWF 82, 81. Part of it, a lot of 83. Hogan in the AWA against Nick Bockwinkel was money. It was selling out arenas. It was a draw. I don't think they left Minnesota much. Maybe to go to Chicago or Milwaukee. Maybe Canada, but they didn't leave Minnesota much. That's where they were based. And they barely didn't, I don't think, do many live events or travel much. But my God, watch some of those shows back on the network. Hogan against Nick Bockwinkel. The arenas were sold out. The crowds were just going nuts. They wanted to see Hogan as a champion. But no, Vern, you had to fuck up and you let Hogan go because you pissed him off and you tried to steal his money and take his New Japan Pro Wrestling deal and part of his money from Japan. You thought you deserved his money from Japan, or you just thought you were going to take it and steal it because you were the promoter. No, Vern, that's not how business works. You don't fuck your talent and fuck your wrestlers. At least Vince McMahon never. I mean, yeah, he tries to own all the wrestlers' names, but big deal. If they want their names so bad, they could fight them in court. But at least Vince McMahon Jr., as far as I know, never, ever did not pay someone. Or did not want to screw them. I'm not saying Vern never paid his wrestlers, but he probably screwed them a lot. And all promoters have screwed talent. The most famous is probably Paul Heyman bouncing a lot of checks to his wrestlers. That was not good. I could do a what the fuck on Paul Heyman in running ECW. Because he should have got a business manager to run it. It might still be around today anyways. Vern Gagne, this what the fuck's about the AWA and their what the fuck moments. Now Vince has not allowed his wrestlers to work for other promotions or Japan, but that's probably because he pays them good. So they don't need to go anywhere else to make extra money. They don't need to go to Japan. But Vern thought, I'm going to take all your merchandise, the Hulkamania merchandise, I'm going to take all that, and I'm going to take your New Japan Pro Wrestling deal and contract. I'm going to take all that. And it was bad. So Hogan and Vern had a falling out because the AWA DVD, the Spectacular Legacy of the AWA, can explain it a lot better than I am with what happened between Hogan and Vern and why Hogan left. But basically, Hogan says that Hogan was earning Hogan was... Vern Gagne was going to put the title on Hogan, but he was... Wait, I lost that spot now. Gagne was going to have Hogan win the belt that night, but only if Vern was going to give Hogan the title, but only if Hogan... He was only going to give Hogan the title if Vern got the bulk of the revenues that Hogan was earning from merchandise and his main event performances and his main event work and probably his contract from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Hogan was outraged. He was pissed that Vern was trying to screw him, trying to fuck him. So Hogan then actually offered Vern a 50-50 split. They'd split, I guess, his merchandise with Vern, or his New Japan deal. He would split it 50-50. Vern refused. Stupid old man, Vern. And I'm not trying to bash Vern Gagne in the AWA, but the episode is called What the Fuck? And this gets me fired up. What happened to the AWA because of stupid Vern Gagne? So Gagne then, instead of taking a 50-50 split, Vern refused to put the title on Hogan. And Hogan then said he was going to stay with the AWA, but then Vern started booking him in steel cage matches with Nick Bockwinkel to try to expand the AWA to New York. But then Vince McMahon Jr. called Hogan, or met with him, I don't know. I think Vince actually offered Vern to buy the AWA, give him a sweet deal, but Vern refused. Or something like that. So then Vince basically thought, I need Hogan. I want Hogan to be my world champion, face of my company. That was smart as hell. Hogan agreed to go to Vince, work for Vince. And Hogan basically left, probably got a sweet contract, guaranteed maybe. And Hogan was told, you're going to be the world champion and you're going to be the face of the company for like the next 5 to 10 years. So Hogan is smart. He's a businessman. He took Vince's offer. So Vern was pissed, really pissed at Hogan, so pissed that he offered, this is from the Iron Sheik, he offered the Iron Sheik like $100,000 to break Hogan's leg in the match in Madison Square Garden, January '84, where Hogan became champion. Vern, I don't know if he really did that, but I doubt Iron Sheik would lie. He's not the type of guy that I don't see him as a liar. So Iron Sheik said, no, I'm not going to break his leg, and Vince, of course, kept Iron Sheik until '87 and probably paid him well to not break Hogan's leg in '84. But I could see why Vern was pissed. But I agree, and I'm on the side of Hogan. He was in the right to leave because Vern didn't want to take the 50-50 split. He was an idiot. And Hogan said he's very happy in the AWA. He didn't really want to leave. But Vern kept trying to steal his money and forced him basically to leave, in my opinion. So now all the talent that jumped to the WWF from the AWA. What the fuck, AWA? You couldn't keep anybody. Everybody left you. Everybody left your ass. So, Vern was pissed at Hogan's offer to be in the WWF. So later on, after Hogan left, everybody went with him. Hogan got Mean Gene Okerlund, AWA's #1 top announcer, backstage interviewer. Mean Gene Okerlund was in the AWA since, I believe, in like 75. And he left in the end of 83. Mean Gene was there when Hogan won the title in Madison Square Garden again, January 84. But I think Mean Gene was there in like December 83 already. Mean Gene Okerlund left. That was a huge hit to the AWA. And Greg Gagne was pissed about it because Mean Gene just left them without having anybody to interview the wrestlers. Well, too bad. I'm sure Mean Gene went for that. Probably got a sweet, good deal. Mean Gene was smart. He went where Hogan went and probably made a ton of money. And Mean Gene knew wherever Hogan was in the 80s, it was going to be a fucking money train. A money, I don't know what to call it. Like money falling out of the damn sky in the 80s, wherever Hogan was. So all the boys, all the talent, probably made a lot of money if they were in the same promotion as Hogan. Mean Gene Okerlund left. Bobby the Brain Heenan left. He was the only guy that gave the AWA notice, and he stayed and did all his dates. The only guy, Bobby the Brain Heenan. So I really respect him for that. Adrian Adonis left. Ken Patera, Jim Bronzell, Dr. D, David Schultz. Him and Hogan were tight, so he went there to face Hogan a couple times and feud with him in the WWF. Wendy Richter left. Jesse the Body Ventura left. That was a big one because he became the main color commentator for WWF with Gorilla Monsoon on their big shows and pay-per-views. Also, I mean, a lot of other talent left. Eventually, the Rockers, they were the Midnight Rockers. They were the AWA Tag Champs. Eventually, AWA would lose the Rockers, and then they were really dead because they had nobody else. No other baby faces that could draw, really, at all. I mean, but at one time, my God, the AWA had so much talent. They had the Rockers before WWF. They had Hulk Hogan before WWF when he was getting over Hulkamania. And Hulkamania was born in the AWA, not the WWF. They had just so many talents. They had Bob Backlund, Red Bastien, Crusher, Jerry Blackwell. I didn't think he was that good. He was a really fat guy, but he was over as a babyface. Nick Bockwinkel was really good. They had Bruiser Brody come in a lot. Jim Bronzell, Greg Gagne were a good team. They had the Crusher from my hometown of Milwaukee. The Crusher was super over, but mostly in the 60s, 70s, early 80s. Like in the mid 80s, I think the Crusher was done. By like 86, he was like done wrestling. But the Crusher and Dick the Bruiser were a hell of a team for the AWA. Later on, they had Colonel De Beers. That guy had a racist gimmick, but it was pretty damn. It was just weird what he got away with in the 80s, what he got away with doing. They had Ric Flair for a little bit, I believe in the 70s, before he was smart enough to go to Mid-Atlantic in the Carolinas. Greg Gagne, the guy was okay. I never saw him as a main eventer. He's a mid carder. Superstar Billy Graham they had. That's Stan Hansen, who was their world champion and did not like the AWA. Probably thought they were run like shit. So they wanted their world title back, and he ran over it with a pickup truck and sent it back to him, and it was bent. That's pretty hilarious. So after, the AWA lost Rick Martel also. They lost just about everybody that anybody cared for. They lost to the WWF. So what the fuck, Vern? You lost all your damn good talent. Maybe it wasn't your fault, but once you lost Hogan and fucked that up, all the boys saw that and went with Hogan and went to a company that was stable and they knew was going to pay them and wasn't going to go under, and a company that was on the rise. The WWF was on the fucking rise in 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89. They got bigger and bigger and bigger. Bigger buy rates on pay-per-view, bigger sellout crowds. Even 1990, WrestleMania 6, huge fucking crowd they drew. So what next? More of this what the fuck AWA episode. Some of your shows were just, some of the big AWA shows, as I said, the ones with the one camera on the ring were fucking embarrassing and horrendous. Some of the matches were not bad, but having one camera is just embarrassing. It makes you look like a minor league fucking promotion. WWF, NWA were major leagues. AWA by 86 was fucking like AA baseball, not major league. So they had a lot of big shows. If I could find that. So again, a lot of super clashes. Vern tried to get his company and get WCCW and someone else. The NWA, they tried to run a big show and pay-per-view against the WWF and Vince, because that was a good fucking idea, Vern. What the fuck? You thought you were going to run a show with two other promoters that were just there for themselves and their talent and to get themselves and their company over, not to help you. That was stupid as fuck. So Super Clash, you had Super Clash 85, and then you had Super Clash 1, 2, 3, and sadly Super Clash 4 was absolute dog shit. It's unwatchable. I tried to watch it like a month ago on the network. It was unwatchable. I don't remember if there was commentary, but I don't think there was, but it wouldn't have helped anyway. The matches and talent were bad. So Super Clash 85, again, they tried to run a pay-per-view against WWF. It did not work. Super Clash 4 happened on April 8th, 1990. I can't believe they're still in business somehow. And just some of the, what the fuck, god-awful booking, gimmick match ideas. You came up with something called the, what the hell is it called? The challenge of something challenge, series challenge. It was a fucking mess. It was confusing as hell. It's like 3 to 5 teams, and there's a point system, and then there's a big battle royal. It was a fucking mess. There's super, I don't know what it's called, Team Challenge Series. It was bad. I think that was in like 1990 or 89. So, good God. Super Clash 4 was just fucking bad. It was horrendous. Some of these guys, some of them like had no business being on a big show. The Texas Hangmen, they were not that good. They were, I guess, in the AWA a short time and the UWF, and they were not good. Stupid, boring, lame gimmick. 2 masked men. They did have Baron Von Raschke return. He shouldn't have wrestled in 1990, but he did. He had to wrestle because he was a substitution for the Junkyard Dog that probably did not want to show up because he went to WCW in 1990 and got himself a deal. Tully Blanchard, Colonel De Beers, or Baron Von Raschke, he was great heel in his prime and stuff. He was great in the 80s in the NWA. Baron Von Raschke had to wrestle Colonel De Beers. There was a count out. Tully Blanchard appeared against some guy called Tommy Jammer. What the fuck? What is a Tommy Jammer? I don't know. And I don't want to know who he is. He's probably embarrassing in the ring. He shouldn't have been on a big show. And the crowd was like, well, the crowd was 2,000 fans. I don't believe that number. It looked like 1,000. And they were not even loud or excited. John Nord, who became the Berserker, he was on the show. I didn't care. I didn't even watch the rest of these matches after. I stopped Super Clash 4. I stopped watching it. I was bored out of my mind. I turned it off during the Texas Hangman tag match. So other matches, Larry Zbyszko for the AWA World Title. Nick Bockwinkel was a referee. Larry Zbyszko defeated Mr. Saito. And I guess Larry Zbyszko won the world title because Mr. Saito was a world champion. I forget where he came from in Japan. I think he came from New Japan or All Japan. I don't know. The main event was the Trooper. The Trooper. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it was a wrestler. The Trooper and Paul Diamond defeated the Destruction Crew, who would become the Beverly Brothers in a steel cage tag team matchup. I don't know if it's any good. I don't care. All the Super Clashes were not good, except for 85. The matches were better. And at one point, the AWA actually had the Road Warriors, and Kurt Hennig, and Hulk Hogan. And you lost everybody because of you, Vern, just doing stupid shit. And you probably drove all your talent away by just how stupid and just god-awful you were booking your company. So, what else? What else was a mess of a show? God, it was a mess. Was Wrestle Rock. AWA Wrestle Rock was a fucking mess. 86. It was a mess. It was just the show was badly paced, badly run, not great camera work, not good announcing or commentating. So let's go to check out Wrestle Rock, because what the fuck was that? Super Sunday. AWA at Super Sunday. I believe that's where Hogan did not win the title, and you screwed the fans, Vern, out of getting a world title change when they fucking wanted it and would have kept paying you money to come back and see Hogan as champion. But no, Vern, you had to get too damn greedy. What the fuck? You wanted all of Hogan's money. So, Super Sunday was April 24th, 83. I believe that was one of the shows with one camera on the ring. It looked horrendous. Because there's like no production value at all. It looked like a house show. And I understand, I guess Vern or the AWA couldn't afford a good production or a whole bunch of good lighting. Well, it showed because it was bad. The production, the lighting, the camera work was bad in 81, 82, 83. I think even 86 you had one camera on the ring for a Christmas show. And that's embarrassing to have one camera when you're a major company and you got a lot of talent. You better get more than one fucking camera if you want to succeed as a promotion. You gotta have more than one camera on the ring. Like, what, they go outside to the ring or go out past the ring, brawling, going to the crowd. You can't shoot them good with one camera fucking like 100 yards away. That's what the AWA did. They put their camera like 50 to 100 yards away. That was bad. So, anyways, Wrestle Rock. That was a train wreck. Let's get to Wrestle Rock. So Wrestle Rock, this was sad. And it was embarrassing because Vern thought his company was bigger than it was at the time. In 86, he thought he was going to sell out the Metrodome in Minnesota, where the Vikings played and where the Twins played for years and years and years. A giant dome. Like a giant dome that you could have held a WrestleMania in. And Vern thought he was going to sell it out. Called the show Wrestle Rock. April 20th, 86. From the Metrodome, which probably you could have had could have drew like 45 to 50 to 60,000 fans. Vern. Maybe 70,000, but no. You drew 23,000 of like a 50-seat arena or dome stadium. So that was embarrassing. Ugh. And Vern probably thought this is gonna bring back fans. This is gonna bring WWF fans to the AWA. Let's call the show Wrestle Rock. No. What the fuck, Vern? It was not gonna bring fans back. Some of these matches were just god awful. Brad Ragans. The guy's a good Olympian, I believe. He was in the Olympics. Wrestling. Greco-Roman. But I didn't give two shits about him as a pro wrestler. I didn't care for him. And I thought he was a mid-carder. But Vern loved him. Brad Ragans defeated Boris Zukov. And later, Boris Zukov was smart. In 88, he would jump to 87, he would jump to WWF and become part of the team, the Bolsheviks, with Nikolai Volkov. So Boris Zukov, you were smart to leave in 87. Up next, we had a midgets matchup. A lot of these midgets actually appeared at WrestleMania 3. Little Tokyo, Lord Littlebrook against Little Mr. T. Little Mr. T. Let me say that again. I'm not joking. What the fuck, Vern? Little Mr. T. Nothing against the midget wrestler that wanted to call himself that. I believe he's in WWF at one point, and Piper shaved his head to make him, or make fun or piss off Mr. T. Maybe Piper named him Little Mr. T. I don't know. But that was just weird. Seeing a midget called Little Mr. T. Kind of did look like Mr. T, but he was a midget. So that midget's match was not that good. Colonel De Beers defeated Wahoo McDaniels. That was not good by disqualification. Buddy Rose and Doug Summers defeated the Midnight Rockers. That was actually good. One of the good matches on Wrestle Rock. Tiger Mask. Legend from Japan. Tiger Mask defended the NWA International Junior Heavyweight Championship. Tiger Mask defeated Buck Zumoff. Buck Zumoff, by the way, I think he's in prison or he died. Because the guy was a fucking child molester, I believe. That's what I heard. Or he molested a girl under 18. Or something like that. Buck Zumoff is a piece of shit. And he was always a jobber. So Vern thought Buck Zumoff was probably a draw. What the fuck? His name was Rock and Roll Buck Zumoff. He sucked. He's boring. So then you had at least Tiger Mask won. Thank God. Because that would have been embarrassing and I would have felt bad for Tiger Mask if he would have had to put over Buck Zumoff. Up next, we had Barry Windham, Mike Rotundo. They would go to WWF later. Or, no, they were out at WWF already. I don't know why they were at Wrestle Rock, but they went to the AWA before they went back to the NWA. Barry Windham, Mike Rotundo, actually real brothers. I didn't know that until like, I think 10 to 20 years ago. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 years ago I knew they were brothers. So, anyways, Barry Windham, Mike Rotundo, I think in WWF they were called the US Express. They defeated the Fabulous One, Steve Keirn, and Stan Lane. That was pretty good, because all four guys could work. Giant Baba from All Japan. The guy that started All Japan Pro Wrestling, Giant Baba, fucking legend. But he was really broken down here. He could barely move. He's like the Giant Gonzalez. It was sad to see. Giant Baba came in to Wrestle Rock and defeated the Bulldog Bob Brown. I can't believe the match went 8 minutes. I'm sure it's horrendous. I watched it like, I think 4 to 5 years ago, Wrestle Rock, and it was not good. It was a long show. It was like, I think like 3 hours and like 50 minutes or something. Harley Race and Rick Martel ended in a double count out. Two good workers, but Harley was at the end of his career. Couldn't do that much. Sherry Martel defeated Luna Vachon and a whole bunch of other women in a 10 women's battle royal. That was actually good because I like seeing Sherry win. I think she's AWA Women's Champion also, maybe. Maybe they didn't have a women's title. I don't know. I don't remember. I think they did have a women's title, but that was later when Sherry was gone. Because Medusa, I believe, was AWA Women's Champ for a while. Maybe she defeated Sherry Martella. I don't remember. I think she did defeat her, maybe. I think they had a match at Super Clash 2. Anyways, up next, Sergeant Slaughter. Because Vince didn't want him, or I don't know, Vince couldn't get his money from the G.I. Joe deal. Sergeant Slaughter wouldn't give it up. Good for him. I respect him for that. But sadly, he had to go to the AWA. Sergeant Slaughter was the AWA Americans Champion. What the fuck? I don't even remember that title. It wasn't even around long. I'm sure it wasn't. Sergeant Slaughter defeated Kamala by disqualification. For the AWA Tag Team titles, this was okay. It wasn't bad. It went too long. 27 minutes. Scott Hall and Kurt Hennig, the AWA Tag Team Champions. They were good tag champs. They were a good team. Really good team before they became famous as single stars. So Scott Hall, Kurt Hennig defeated the Long Riders, Scott Irwin and Bill Irwin. Up next, we had a boxing match with Larry Hennig as a guest ref. Boxing matchup. Boxing matches never work in pro wrestling. They're stupid. I think they're boring in pro wrestling to put on a fucking boxing match. So you had Scott the Dukes defeat Larry Zbyszko by disqualification. How do you win by disqualification in a boxing match? I don't know. I guess somebody kicked somebody in the balls. Nick Bockwinkel defeated Stan Hansen for the AWA World title by disqualification. Stan Hansen was a champion, so he retained. All these DQ finishes. What the fuck? At Wrestle Rock. Way too many. Way too many DQ finishes. Up next, the matches won't end. They did not end at Wrestle Rock. They went on and on. More matches than any WrestleMania ever. 16 matches. 16. What the fuck? That's way too many. Think WrestleMania 35 had like, I don't know, 14 maybe matches. I don't think they ever did a 16 match card. And if they didn't, it didn't feel like it dragged on. Wrestle Rock went on forever and felt like it wouldn't end. Wrestle Rock might be one of the worst pay-per-views ever. Worse than Heroes of Wrestling. UWF had some really bad pay-per-views too. Herb Abrams, that guy was a mess. So, up next, God, the matches would not end. 3 steel cage matches to end to end Wrestle Rock, not